Where'd my boss go?
That was there.
Oh, we got it's about what? I ain't going back.
I got 2 in May. Oh, it's like jogging. The assembly dance floor. Yes, I Just grab a seat.
All right, we're going to call this meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, roll call shows we're all here. So we're on to number 2, approval of the agenda. I'll make a motion to approve the March 17th, 2025 regular Board of Education meeting agenda with the amendment that number 8, the additional public participation, which is not related to agenda items, get moved before 7E, before we have a closed session. So motion by me, support by Mary Thompson. Any discussion? Roll call?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Okay, motion passes. All right, number 3, communications. The first one we have is a letter that was received, sent to the superintendent's office, so I'm going to read it to all board members. February 26, 2025. On behalf of the water aerobics class offered by the Ovid-Elsie Area Community Education, we are concerned this class will no longer be offered come November if we do not voice our concern now. The water aerobics instructor, Mrs. Chris Salters, will be leaving this position in April. We've reached out to the district contact we were given last week with no response. There are presently 35 participants in our class, and since Mrs. Salters is retiring, we would like to make sure the board is informed that the community class is coming to an end. Many people of all ages depend on this class. Is the district making any efforts to continue to offer this class? We might be wrong, but we think this is the final community class offered to our stakeholders. We've seen numerous community classes vanish over the years: open gym, open weight room, walk the halls, etc., to mention a few. In addition to these classes, we know other districts offer many classes to their communities. Do we want to see our community members traveling to neighboring districts to utilize their facilities? Engaging the school and the community should be a top focus for our district. Let's keep building a good relationship with the community so when we need each other, we're both doing our part. Sincerely, Water Aerobics Class 24-25. You can see there's quite a few participants that signed the letter that were sent to us. So, in receiving this, Wayne, are we going to move forward with posting?
Yes, absolutely. As long as we can find the instructor. And I know I talked to Crystal about contacting Chris so Chris can talk to me so we can see what direction, but as far as continuing it, absolutely.
Thank you for reaching out with that letter. Letter B, Ovid-Elsie personnel. Okay. Letter C, public participation at board meetings. This one is specific to agenda items only. The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on district matters, guided by rules in the policy 0167.3. We don't have any communication for that, so we can move forward. Number 4, the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Support.
Any discussion?
I would request a correction on the financials that we're looking at. It states revenues through December 2024, and I think that's actually January 2025's report. Just for historical purposes, maybe we should correct it.
So we have a motion and support. Any other discussion? Roll call. Mr. Nash?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, motion passes. All right, number 5, Board of Education reports. Letter A, CC Recess Superintendent and Vocation Education Director.
I'm bearing some gifts this evening, so if you can give me just a minute to get these moved around, I'll start my presentation. Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Scott Kinishnik. I'm the superintendent of Clinton County RESA. Thank you for allowing me a few minutes this evening to come out and give an update on our newly created strategic plan. So I shared with the board a number of documents. I'll be referring to the documents as I go through the PowerPoint this evening, but I'll draw your attention to those as we get to them. So again, wanted to brief you on our strategic plan, how you were involved in the creation of that, and how you will continue to be involved in the plan. plan as we are going forward. So I started at Clinton-Risa in July of 2023, and we had a strategic plan that was based upon an accreditation process that was expiring. So I went to the board and talked with the board about the importance of a new plan, shared a couple of models or options with them, and the board in February of 2024 approved working with the Michigan Association of School Boards. So between February and April of 2024, we spent a great deal of time collecting data and stakeholder input. On April 29th, we had a day-long retreat, and I'll talk about that. There was student voice and staff voice from Ovid-Elsie at that retreat. March 31st, a smaller group of us met again for an implementation workshop, and then we took the strategic plan to our board in June of this last year for their formal approval. So stakeholder input, we talked about February through April of last year, this exact time this last year. This was a great time to give input. We had 172 responses to surveys, focus groups, and other one-on-one meetings. And we really did a number of things. We took a look at, got feedback on our strengths, on areas that we could improve, any barriers that we might face in terms of trying to improve, and then we started to talk about this notion of a vision, which isn't new for you as school board members and having a school district. Again, we met a large group of us on April 29th. There were about 36 participants, I believe. We met for 8 full hours, and we had a number of tasks in front of us. We started with just a general idea of what is strategic planning. We did an environmental scan. We took a look at what we were currently working on. We did analyze our current, our past mission, vision, and belief statements, because we had some to start with. We took a look at a number of data points. We took a look at demographic and district data. We developed a new proposed vision, mission, and set of belief statements, and I'll get to them shortly. And then we also identified 5 goal areas, and they're on your sheet. Again, we'll get into that here shortly. And then we took a look at the next steps, next action steps. Here are the participants. It's kind of hard for you to see. I apologize, but again, I think there were 33 of us. And from Ovid-Elsie, you had a staff member there, joined elementary special ed teacher, and then you also had student voice. We had student voice. We felt that was important, and so we had Haley Bayshore, who was one of our CTE students, but one of your local students, join us for the day and help us with the strategic plan. So here's where we landed, and all of this information is on this 2-pager that you have with some pictures of some kids in the front. There is our new revised mission. So the mission of CC-RISA is to demonstrate quality leadership in partnership with stakeholders, including yourself, to provide high-quality services through innovation, collaboration, and communication. Our vision is below that. The vision of Clinton-Risa is to be the recognized leader in providing exceptional learning opportunities for all in partnership with our schools, families, and certainly our communities. Again, another reason I'm here this evening. There are belief statements. I'm not going to read those to you, but I'll give you a couple seconds to read through those. 6 belief statements on a variety of topics, including homeschool and community, instructional designs and decisions, expectations, efforts, and instruction. Again, 6 belief statements. So the first session was largely a review of this and crafting a revised mission, vision, and belief statements. We also identified 5 goal areas, or we call them our 5 buckets of work. And if you flip the page over, you can see what those 5 goal areas are. And they are color-coded on the top. The first goal area is services, programs, and partnerships. Underneath that, you will see a goal statement. That goal statement is engage in partnerships to provide a comprehensive continuum of high-quality programs and services to meet the needs of our stakeholders. Below that, the next one was communications and community engagement. The goal statement is to inform and engage the community about opportunities and services provided by RISA. This is me being here this evening is an example of that. Organizational culture was another goal area. The goal statement could create a collaborative organizational culture where everyone champions CC-RISA's structure, services, and programs. Operations, personnel, and finance. Another goal area, create a welcoming, collaborative environment where everyone is provided clear expectations, procedures, and practices, and the support necessary to succeed. And finally, teaching and learning. Provide high-quality, dynamic, meaningful learning opportunities and supportive environments for all. So those were our 5 goal areas. So we had a vision, mission, and belief statements. We had goal areas, we had goal statements. The next idea or next step was then to meet in May to say, okay, what are we going to do underneath each one of these 5 goal areas? It's nice to have them, but what are going to be the actionable objectives? And so we met and did just that. We reviewed the mission, vision, and belief statements, and we spent a great deal of time generating objectives for us to actually work on. These were the folks that were involved in the May 31st retreat. There are 13 of us. If you look, they were all recent employees. And you may say, hey, where's the inclusivity? You were inclusive in the first round. This was the recommendation of our MASB facilitator. The notion of having just recent folks develop the objectives, he felt very strongly about, because our team is really going to be held accountable by our board for achieving those objectives. And so his belief was the people involved in designing the objectives are folks whose paychecks I sign, because I'm going to be held accountable by my board, as I should, and I will hold our team accountable for accomplishing those objectives. So that's the rationale for those participants. So I'll go back to this document, and on this slide you can see what those objectives are underneath the goal area. So we said we've got services, programs, and partnerships. We took a look at the goal statement. So what are we going to do? Well, we're going to develop a special education task force to continually assess needs, plan for improvements, and monitor progress. That has been established. That task force has met 2 or 3 times, so that work is well underway. Certainly isn't completed, but well underway. Expand the work of district profiles. Your staff knows what that means. We put together a profile with your staff where we help identify areas that we may be able to support you individually as a district, and then where we might be able to support locals from a county perspective. That too is well underway. And then the third bullet, internally develop an organization-wide process for decision-making to bring departments together in collaborative efforts and better serve our districts. That hasn't been started yet, but we're okay with that. This is a 3 to 5 year strategic plan. We're not going to be able to get all of this done in 1 year. But we did recognize the fact that we need a way to make decisions to pick and choose what we're going to work on, because we can't be everything to everybody. We'd like to be that, but we can't. So those are the objectives underneath that particular goal area. So goal 2, communications and community engagement. The first objective there was to establish a contract with Ingham ISD for communications support. That is done. We contract with Ingham ISD for support 2 days a week, where we have somebody come in and actually provide communication support for us, whether it's social media, print media, video. It's worked out quite well. Some of you who have met me and know me before, I was the superintendent at Ingham Recent from 2015 to 2018. And we did this for Eaton, where we shared services with Eaton when I was a superintendent there. And so now I'm a consumer of the services that we once provided to Eaton. So that's going very, very well for us. Develop a communication plan with clear, consistent protocol, including a calendar and a method for tracking data. We are doing that as well. We've moved to a newsletter that uses the platform Schmore, and so we're able to collect data regarding that, how many times it's open, which links have been clicked, who's reading it, those types of things. So we're well on our way there. And then provide signage for all CC RESA classrooms, meeting rooms, and offices, and copies for local districts stating our mission, vision, belief statements. That's what I'm doing this evening. So we can, in a sense, cross that off of this. We've been doing a tremendous amount of work around communications and community engagement. Goal 3, 2 objectives there. Develop an employee recruitment and retention plan. That is underway. As you know, as school board members, recruiting and retaining staff is tough. There is a shortage of educators, whether it's bus drivers, parapros, and so we want to develop a plan that will help us better recruit and retain our folks. And then develop and disseminate in multiple formats a single-page brochure outlining programs and services offered by RESA. That is the other document, or another document that you have, if you want to take a look at that. We don't, in the ISD world, do a very good job of explaining what we do. So this one-page document has a tremendous amount of information on it. I'll start with the red column on the left. Is simply contact information for myself and our team. The next column in is demographic information about enrollment. So we have about 10,638 kids in Clinton County. Below that is the breakdown by district. So you can see Ovid-Elsie in 23-24 had 1,319 students, but it's broken down by district. Next column over is a number of special ed data points. We work with almost 1,200 students with IEPs across the county. They're broken down by early childhood special ed, whether they're our Ed Center. We have 2 students from Clinton County that go to the Michigan School for the Deaf. We have 110 special education staff members, so a number of data points. points. Below that is early childhood. You kind of get the feel of what this document does. A number of early childhood data points. We have 187 kids in what we call GSRP, which is the publicly funded preschool program in Clinton County. Human resources, some data there. We have 205 employees. There's budget information in the blue. Instructional services talks about the coaches that we have and the behavioral mental health providers. If you flip the page over, a number of data points with regard to CTE. We have over 1,000 kids in career and tech education programs in Clinton County. We have 10,000 kids in the whole county, so it's 1 of every 10, which is pretty powerful. We have 20 programs in local districts, 11 programs at the ISD. Information in there about the Career Expo, Pave Your Own Path. If you go down to the bottom of that first column, for our CTE programs, our students earned 524 college credits at mid-college, 501 credits at LCC, saving families $214,000 last year, which is pretty powerful. Second column in is our early middle college program. You have students in that. We had 43 students involved in that. And since the inception of that program, students have earned 2,282 early college credits. Again, huge savings to families. Next column over is our business services. You know, because you have been purchasing some business services from us, that we do provide business services for fee-for-service for some of our local school districts. Same thing with technology. You can see which districts purchase technology services with us. And then finally, the column in the blue is a column about our Office of Innovative Projects. That office is located in DeWitt, and that does a number of statewide activities, particularly aimed at early childhood. So there is your one-pager, so we can cross that off the list of objectives. We'll move on to operations, personnel, and finance. We have 4 objectives there. The first was to conduct a special education millage renewal. Thank you for your support of that. That did pass this past August. We took half of those funds and distributed them right back to you. So Clinton County RESA now provides $1 million reimbursement to our local school districts from that special education millage. Complete a remodel of our Ed Center. We have about 100 kids in our building south of our building on US 27. Students with some more severe disabilities, again, some of them yours. And that building sorely needed a remodel. We are right in the middle of that. We started that, did a great job, and we're nearing the end of that. Update compensation manual, job descriptions, employee handbook. That too is underway. Develop a supervisor handbook for training supervisors. That has not been started. And then finally, teaching and learning. A couple objectives there. Establish a countywide task force to conduct a review of schedules, assessments, and data systems. And identify opportunities where we can collaborate better there. One example is the calendar. So for our CTE programs, because we have 6 local districts and those 6 local calendars vary, there are only 122 days out of 180 where all of the CTE kids are in the same building at the same time because of the variations of calendars. So what can we do better as an ISD to help make a more common calendar? Work with respecting local control. And then the last piece is identify and catalog data sources designed to measure indicators of whole child outcomes. So those are our objectives that we've been working on. The final document that I have for you is our dashboard. So I learned a lot of things from my dad growing up, and one of the things I learned is what gets measured is what gets done. And so we are measuring this every quarter. Every quarter I give an update to my board. We call it the quarterly board goal update, where I and our team update the board on all of the progress that has taken place for each objective. It's a Google Doc. It's color-coded, so we know the objectives are the work that we completed in the first quarter. We know the work that we completed in the second quarter. Third quarter is coming up at our April board meeting, and then I'll do a final report out in June. But this document shows the goal areas, it shows the goal statements, it shows the objectives, and then the little bubbles in the red are projects that haven't been started. Yellow is in progress, and green is accomplished, and I'm happy to say a couple of those yellows will move over to the green when I do my board goal update. So that's a lot of information for you in a short amount of time, but I'll certainly answer any questions that you might have. And if you're like me and you're on the lawnmower or in the shower or something, you're driving home and a question comes to light, you can always call, email, or text again. All of my contact information and our team's contact information is on the homepage here. Good luck. Great, thank you, Wayne. And I think with that, Jen Branch, who is our Director of Career and Technical Education, I talked a little bit about that this evening, is next up. And unfortunately, I would stay, but I am heading to Guam, Westphalia to give the same presentation at 7:30. So pray I don't get a speaking ticket. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Board. My name is Jennifer Branch. I'm the Career Education Director at Clinton County Reset, and I appreciate that our local districts allow me to do a career education update each year and share a little bit about some of the things that are happening in our department. And you will get an opportunity to hear from a couple of students, which is always my favorite part of presenting, is taking students that are in our programs in local districts so that you can hear from them what they appreciate about their program. But I do want to go through some general updates first, and I believe there are some handouts that have some data in terms of enrollments and savings due to college credits that you should see there. So there certainly, if you have any questions as we go along or at the end, please feel free to stop me. So we first have a couple of new staff. Oops, went too far. New staff this year. First, we have many staff members that have been residents of Clinton County lifelong. And Kim Krakow, she worked in the Bath schools, lives in the DeWitt area, and so we were fortunate to get her as our new administrative assistant this year. And she has an elementary education degree, and like I said, had worked in the Bath school district, so very familiar with work in the schools. And I know she must have been very well liked there, because every time we have our local districts in, all the Bath staff come in and say hello to her. But she's doing a fantastic job, and we're grateful to have her on board. Another, not new staff, but update with one of our current staff members, Matt Spees, was the athletic trainer at St. John's High School for about 15 years. I believe I have that time frame right. And when we found out that he wanted to kind of get out of the athletic training hours, which is all kinds of nights and weekends, I talked with the principal there and said, what about teaching sports medicine? And so we were able to snag him up. And he quickly went from one section to two sections, so we have him full-time. We were able to make him a CC Risa employee, as well as concurrent enrollment instructor with Mid-Michigan College, so the students get the direct college credit for his program. And next year, we've been able to take that a step further. We're going to offer a year 2 in our sports medicine program, and those students will have the opportunity to become certified personal trainers. And they will work at fitness facilities around the area, Clinton County and surrounding areas, and earn, not only have their credential, but also have some work experience in that field. So it's a great credential to have, especially when you're interested in sports medicine. Some of the things that we do each year that would be familiar to those of you that have been around a little while. I'll see a lot of new faces at the tables. Every year we have an annual college night in the fall. It usually takes place at the end of September or in October. We invite students in grades 8 through 12 in all of our local schools and surrounding areas to come in. We typically have over 40 institutions, 2-year colleges, 4-year colleges, all the public universities, military representation, trade school representation. And so we typically have a pretty good turnout for that. And I know my own daughter, who's now a freshman at Saginaw Valley, she benefited from that because she was able to go up to those tables and talk to those representatives and kind of learn a little bit more about each college before we made our list of colleges to visit. So I know I appreciated this event as a parent, and I think a lot of other students and parents in the community have benefited from it as well. We also participate in the statewide manufacturing week. The Capital Area Manufacturing Council is our contact for that. And students in both local and countywide CTE programs are invited to participate. Jennifer Fenning, our early college and career development coordinator, organizes this. And these are the businesses that students in Clinton County, each class visits 2 different locations throughout the day. And they go one place in the morning, and then they go to the second manufacturer, typically feeds them lunch, and then they tour that second place. So we're proud of the work that happens during Manufacturing Day. We have had students get employed through Manufacturing Day. If they ask enough questions and talk with those employers, sometimes they'll take their business card, and then before you know it, they have a summer job or an after-school job, or sometimes a career after that. So. And then our annual Career Expo was held at DeWitt High School again this year. It was bigger than it's ever been. We had over 130 booth participants, everything from our secondary CTE programs to our colleges, to our business and industry, and we try to show students that pathway of, start here and end up here. And so it was well attended, and we've been really grateful to have the weather that we've had, because that event is in late October and early November, and as you know, in our state, that's a little risky to have events that have an outdoor component. But we've had good weather and great turnout, and we have places that will automatically save the date for the following year. So we've built up some momentum with that. We just finished last week our annual Pave Your Own Path event, and we had over 80 volunteers for that event. That is for all the juniors and seniors that are in our Career Connections countywide CTE programs. It's a day-long career preparation workshop. The students cycle through a job fair simulation where they have to give an elevator pitch, they fill out an online application, and they answer speed interview questions. They have another part of the day where they sit with a resume and cover letter reviewer with about 4 or 5 of their peers, so they get to hear their feedback on their materials as well as the materials of their peers. And then they also sit through a series of what we call success sessions. So, for example, one of the ones that I was part of, teaching students how to make their mark and make an impression and how they can be a leader and what qualities and traits leaders demonstrate. So that was just last Thursday. We kind of took over the whole RISA building and a large portion of the South Point Mall area. And then the other couple of things on this slide are to highlight the work-based learning that students are doing. Actually, Ovid-Elsie is kind of a little bit of a trailblazer in this area because they had so many students that were interested in doing work-based learning, and we only have so many slots at RISA. So you have led the charge in having some of your own CTE staff and counselors help oversee that work so that more students can be part of that from Ovid-Elsie. And so our work-based learning coordinator kind of helps develop those training plans and training agreements, but then Ovid-Elsie staff takes it from there, goes and does the work site visits and makes sure that students have not just what we would consider a typical after-school job, but something that can actually lead to a viable career. So we appreciate Ovid-Elsie's work on that. We hope that we can continue that pattern in some of our other districts so that more students can have work-based learning opportunities. And then you can see the programs listed there. So those programs have pretty extensive and involved work-based learning for their students. Video and audio production is housed right here at Ovid-Elsie, and we've had students work for example, the City of St. John's and develop their website and do some marketing for some of their events. And they've been nothing but thrilled with the work of the students that come out of that audio video program. So we appreciate your support of that program and that being housed here. And then, I believe I see Tatum here. Is Stephen here from Welding? Sorry, I didn't see over there. Stephen, if you guys want to come up here. So this is my favorite part of the presentation. So we have Tatum Klein, who's in our computer networking and technology program. And we have Stephen, that's in our welding program, who, by the way, I guess twice now has been selected for the CTE Student of the Month. And I'd like you to hear from them. So they know a little bit about the questions I'm going to ask them. I don't want to, throw the element of surprise at them. I think it takes a lot of courage to stand up here and talk to this room full of adults. So if I could first have you each share what made you decide to take a CC RISA program.
Well, the class I'm taking computer networking. I've always been really passionate about computers and cybersecurity, and so that class has kind of suited me.
I was always interested in welding, and I had an opportunity to take welding. Took it. It was this building, close by, gonna drive the time. So I took it.
Excellent. Okay, so yep, welding house right here. Again, we appreciate Ovid-Elsie helping us get that program up off the ground. So, all right, what has been the best part about your RISA class so far?
I'd say probably the hands-on work. We get into computers a lot, so that's probably the most fun. We took a trip down to Lansing and had a little field trip. That was pretty neat.
What'd you do with that field trip?
We learned about troubleshooting and I guess how some people act on phones and help desk support.
I believe that was with the King County Department of Health and Human Services, one of their apps, right? They were showing you some customer service on that. Excellent. Okay. And how about you, Stephen? What's
Also
your
hands-on work.
Okay.
The experience of move around, actually be able to do work, not just sit in a chair or stare at a wall for an hour is great. The best thing I've experienced in class, build big own stuff. I made a rolling loop. I was able to like, move around, still building, gotta yell. Keep building that. Many things I've experienced in class, I've been taught many things, including welding. How to interact with people when they are so focused on other tasks, and you need to focus on what's going on right next to them. Learning how to talk to people when they're hot and bothered, you know?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay. So, one more question for both of you. How do you think taking your recent class has given you kind of like a leg up for whatever your plans are for the future?
My class allows me to get my associate's degree after 3 years of taking the class. And I mean, that'll help me a lot for my job that I want to go into.
Excellent. Okay, so you're an early college student, and we'll talk about the early college piece in a minute.
I'm going to be going into welding for future career, but being in one class is giving me an opportunity to apply for jobs that I would never be able to do. I am currently applying for HVAC through Vancort's friend. It's great.
So the industry connections that you're starting. Does the board have any questions for these two young men? Okay. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, just a little more. I know that Tayton referenced the early college. I'm going to say a bit about that in a moment. Another thing that we've done this year is we really wanted to build strong partnerships with our staff and our local districts that work with students with disabilities. And it's not that we haven't had those in the past, but we wanted to do some intentional things to bring our instructors together with special education staff in our local districts. So we planned these conversations, career connections conversations, where we brought in each district, and we appreciate their time. They brought a team, and we would bring in the instructors that had students with IEPs or 504s from that district, and then it allowed the instructors to share about what the program entailed, and it allowed the instructors and those that worked with the students with disabilities from the local district to share how we could best support students. And it was very well received, and we're going to continue it, and it has really helped us better serve our students with IEPs and 504s. So that was the idea of Jennifer Strickland in my department. I have a great office team, and so we appreciated her spearheading that. Another thing that we do is provide support for senior interview days, and so when local districts need us to help them gather interviewers for the seniors in your districts, we do that and provide them with questions and packets and things that they can use in those interview days. So, and then we do have 3 programs that have an early college option. Tayton mentioned his, the cybersecurity. We have also allied health and education early childhood. So we've seen tremendous growth with our early college, and you can see this slide just shows in each program the growth over the past several years. And this shows the number of students by district, and you can see each colored line represents a different district in our county. So there are 64 students. I can tell you that when we first started this with just computer networking and technology, several years back, there were 2 students. So we've gone from 2 students not that long ago, right, all the way up to 64 students. And Jennifer Fenning is our early college coordinator, and she is fantastic with working with these students. So this would be what grade each student would be in. So we have 28 that are in their junior year, 29 that are in their senior year, and 7 students that are in year 13, and 23 students that have completed throughout the time when we've had cert-type. Scott made reference to this data point that as of the end of the fall semester, that students had earned 2,282 college credits. Any of you that have ever put a kid through college, that's a lot of money. And so we're excited to see where these numbers continue to grow as more students join Capital Region Technical Early College. And then last but not least, this is my office team. I would bring them all here. They're so fabulous. They do a great job, but if you ever need to contact any of us, please don't hesitate to reach out. Wayne also knows how to get a hold of us, and I really appreciate your time. So does anybody have any questions for me? And I too have to head to Farm West Vegas, so hopefully Scott will talk long enough until I can get there. So thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you. All right, next up on our reports, MASB Representative Mark Wolf.
And I do not have to move along those boundaries. But I hope to not take up too much of your time, because I know you have a long agenda. I do want to put a plug for the Career Connections program. I have my own daughter, one of my daughters went through the program and was able to transfer, I believe, 15 credits to Grand Valley. And now she's doing her graduate work in occupational therapy. So it really was, that's where she got her start, was in the allied health program. So I can't tell you the benefits that I see for students in that program. So, anyway, we're not here to talk about CTE. I'm here to talk about, we have a few tasks tonight on your superintendent search. I believe I emailed you all the results of the survey, the stakeholder surveys, some bullet points on my visits with the face-to-face meetings, and then a draft of the selection criteria for you. And then I've also supplied those to you this evening in hard copies, so sometimes it's easier to see that. And it's kind of hard to look over my shoulder here. I'm going to move around a little bit. So the first thing we want to do is take a peek at the survey results. And actually there's 231 have taken the survey, and that's actually a really good number, particularly for a district this size. If we get above 150, I think we're doing well, so 231 is a good number. A little breakdown there of who took the survey as far as how long they've been in the community, that sort of thing. You can see that. A lot of people have been here for more than 10 years, so that's a good sign. Again, a breakdown of if you work in the district, how many years you've worked here. You can see that as well. And finally, breakdown of the stakeholders and all the positions or how they may be connected with the district. Now, the tricky one on this part is it could be a staff member, a parent. You could have multiple roles, so to speak. And it's hard to break those down that just gives you an idea of who took the survey. But one thing the boards always ask, well, can we know what the staff said on the survey? Or can we know what just parents said? That we cannot do. It's a little bit more involved using this survey tool. And so we don't have those, but just give you an idea. What we do find is most people, it comes around about, if I look at, from my face-to-face meetings and with the different groups, and then I include and look at these, you hear some of the same things. So generally from every group, you hear quite often the same results. So what is the minimum level of education you want the board to consider? You can see overwhelmingly that we have a master's plus administrative certification, 43%, at least a bachelor's degree, 20%. You can see all the way down through there, down to a specialist, and that's kind of the breakdown on what they would expect, the community and stakeholders expect from the next superintendent. List of positions the superintendent candidates may have held in the past. So again, what experience do you think they should have? And this is not unusual. They usually would like to see that they've had many of the experiences throughout the district, including a teacher, a building principal. Superintendent in another district is always high up on the list. Assistant superintendent, finance director, so you can see it there. But usually teacher comes out as number one because they want to know, they're looking for someone that has had experience in the classroom and knows how to work with children. Unfortunately, I do not have a bar graph on this one for the next couple here, but these are areas of specific areas of expertise that different superintendents candidates may possess. From your perspective, how much weight should the board place on each area? So you can see this is your scale, critically important, above average, average importance, below average, and relatively unimportant. And you can see the results. You see how many in each of those areas, and the weighted average when you look at it. Budget development management is number 1 there at 4.41. One person does believe it's not important, but that's not unusual. We usually get budget, curriculum, and actually the top 3, maybe not all in that order, are very similar to what we would normally expect on this. 6 different leadership styles. Recognizing that a leader may employ all of these, so obviously whenever you're in a leadership, you're always doing different styles, but primarily you get to choose 2 here styles. So you can see collaborative leadership. This is a leader who leads by using consensus building and other group processes to arrive at mutually beneficial decisions. 45% like that style. A transformational leader, this is someone who inspires his or her team with a shared vision of the future. 40%, those 2 are pretty close. Situational leadership, that's basically, depends on what the situation calls for, what style you're going to use. Sometimes you have leadership where, I'll use a simple example. We have to call a snow day, and there's not a whole lot of shared decision in that. You either do it or you don't. It's situational, as opposed to developing maybe or adopting a new series or new program for ELA across the district. That'd be more of a shared shared leadership. So you can see those there. Again, this is quite similar to what we normally see on a survey. Experiences and skill areas that could be important when evaluating the superintendent candidates from your perspective. How much weight should be placed, should the board place on each area? So this one, you rated everyone, and so, again, exceedingly recent, the ones on the first page here, it goes from the highest ratings for those areas on down. So you have that there for you, and there's several pages here. Again, there's not a bar graph on this one, but you can see that this first page, it's all well above, they're almost always all above 4, but, and incidentally, exceedingly responsive and follows up and follows through. In my conversations with stakeholders, this is one of the things that was talked about quite often. Communication is usually talked about. Recognizes and values of the firm staff, that came out in my conversations with face-to-face as well. So there's that one. This is just this is the same thing, isn't it? Yes. You can see those, and it continues on and on. So, question 9. Personal characteristics that you would desire in a superintendent. And again, you rate each of the importance, and they're rated on your sheets from top to bottom. You can see ethical, honest and ethical is the top one here. That's quite often the case. It's quite a bit higher than the next one, which is transparent. Approachable. That is a theme that came through in my conversations as well. All 3 of these things did. A strong listener, problem solver, strong communicator. These are all very high on the list. And this goes pretty much, you can see it there as it goes through for you. Okay, this is the one that I thought was interesting. Choosing your next superintendent, which path or strategy below do you think the Board of Education should take? So you can see that find a candidate with the same basic educational and management philosophy as the current administration, but who can make some necessary changes. 46% or 107 of the people who took the survey said that. Find a very different candidate, one who is ready to take the district in a significantly different direction, and we're at 95 or 41%. Usually those aren't quite so close. And in my conversations with people face to face, it was almost the same way. There are people that are like, we're doing some good things, but we would like to have someone come in and maybe look and see the possibilities and make them a little better. There were a couple comments that they would take us definitely in a different direction. Not really certain what that direction is, but you can see the results there. So very seldom do you get, usually the one at the bottom is always in the bottom. Everybody's always looking for a little bit of a change of some sort. So anyway. And that is the results of that one. Any questions on that part of it? I went through it quickly. You know, we've had time to look at it over the weekend. And I don't think I sent the summary of my face-to-face meetings today, so I'll just have to read those from my sheet and kind of look them over.
You did send that to us, just so you know. Your input.
Okay, I'm not certain I didn't send it over to Crystal. I just realized that to add to the put up here, so I apologize for all of you out there, you can't see that part of it. So in my stakeholder meetings, I met with administration, I met with transportation, district office, a meeting at Leonard, a meeting at EE night, middle high school combined, and a community meeting. I think that was all of them. The total of all those together was probably 35 to 40 people I met with totally out of that. So that's not unusual because a couple things, some things come in, people are busy, and most of the meetings did take place, particularly the community meeting took place on the one nice day we had, way back that first warm day we had on Tuesday. So that usually brings the crowd down. But the other thing that I think plays into that is the online survey that people can take. And when they do that, a lot of times they feel like they've had their input, or at least that's my thought anyway. So you can see just kind of strengths of the district. It was almost across the board, talked about the number of program choices and the supports that you have here in Ovid-Elsie. Whether it be your AP courses, dual enrollment, CTE, etc. Athletics, and one thing I just realized I didn't put on here when I say I put clubs, but I think it's important to talk about the fine and performing arts. It was mentioned more than once about the drama program, for example, and how that's really stepped up here recently. And also the number of different, like I said, different clubs, and it was also mentioned the services that are offered, for example, with your special needs students. So felt like there's a variety of services across the board. Community very involved and supportive of the district. There was a lot of buildings and facilities are well maintained and clean. Committed, caring, strong staff and administration. That came in all the groups mentioned that. Challenges that people saw, declining enrollment, and this is not anything unusual. As we know, there's something like 70-some% of the districts in the state of Michigan are declining enrollment. Affordable housing is an issue. It seems to be in a lot of districts that, such as Ovid-Elsie and the St. John's type, it's hard to find housing. Recruitment, retention of teachers and administration and support staff. And this came, and all groups mentioned this. And again, it's not an issue unique to school districts, particularly in rural districts. But they all want, I specifically put on support staff because everyone saw that as an issue. So when they're talking about recruitment and retaining staff, they're talking about everyone. Felt that communication is improving, but still needs more work, whether it's between admin and staff and community, or admin and community. Feel like there's been strides have been made, but still there's still a challenge. The next one, behaviors, baggage, anxiety in students today. So seeing a lot more different behaviors with students, and so they feel like this is a challenge. And again, coming out of the whole COVID, a couple of years of COVID, this is not new to districts either. And the challenge is just to make sure you're open to all possibilities. I could have gone into a couple different areas, but people really felt that there's a lot of possibilities here in Ovid-Elsie. It's just how do you market that? How do you see those possibilities and let people know about them? Again, pretty much we talked about these in the survey, the experiences of the next superintendent, and we talked about the first bullet about having all those positions. Understanding of special education law did come out. Again, experienced but open-minded. This one I thought was interesting because of the way it was presented, and it was said more than once. Someone open to learning and growing. In other words, someone that will come in and continue modeling learning for staff and for students. So, for example, doing workshops with board and year learning would be an example of modeling for the community on that. Experience, understanding, and appreciation for an agricultural rural community. That came out in a couple different groups. The behavior issues, again, was there, and someone from outside but willing to learn the culture. So they was brought up a couple times, maybe somebody from outside the district, but again, willing to learn the culture. They feel like there's a lot of good things happening here, but just some fresh eyes on it. Describe the individual who will be successful. Again, very similar to the bullet points. A unifier, motivated to committed to stay, good morals, high energy, ready to act and tackle problems, thick skin, recognizes and values staff, do extras, be visible and approachable, transparent, engaged in the community, a trust builder, sense of humor. That came out a couple different times, and so I'm going to put that on there, make sure they know that. Possibility thinker, love kids, positive attitude, ability to build consistent, cohesive processes and systems, and listen to staff and involve others in making decisions. So those are kind of a summary of the bullet point summary of my meetings face to face. Any questions so far? Perfect. So the final sheet is the one that has the OE on the top. And this would be this is what we will add to the posting. And this is also your opportunity to put in, you may have taken the survey, or, taken the survey, but this is also your opportunity to add what you would think you would want to see in a superintendent. If you think it's necessary, that we put it in here as far as the selection criteria. Now's the time to do that. So This is a draft that I made up using what I felt from the survey and meeting with people. And so as you can see there, I guess I should read it, so since I apologize, I don't have a screen of this one either, but the Ovid-Elsie Area Schools Board of Education is seeking a superintendent who will collaborate with the board, staff, and community to create a successful educational experience for all students while also strengthening relationships with community and staff. Does that sound good to everyone so far? I'm just kind of looking for yep, we're in agreement with that.
Yes.
We don't have to approve this, we're going to add to it, but we just want to make sure that this is what you're seeing. So if I look at vision, long-range planning, I felt the survey and the results said you need somebody that's skilled as a forward-thinking, collaborative leader who will expand and improve existing processes and systems. Next bullet point, maintain the financial stability of the district. Next bullet, build a marketing and communication plan to attract and retain students and staff. And finally, continue building a culture of learning both in the classroom and the home. So we'll look at that area. Anything we want to delete, anything you want to add? Anybody want a grammar smith in or anything like that? Okay, moving to the desired professional experience. K-12 classroom teaching experience, building level administrative experience, master's degree plus administrative certification, strong knowledge and experience with school finance, proven track record of supporting and improving student achievement, and experience in curriculum development. Those are all things that came up fairly high on the survey. And again, I don't think we don't want to put required on those because you could get you never know who's going to come out of the woodwork as far as an applicant that may be very interesting to have. We talked about earlier, at some point they do have to have administrative certification, but you can hire somebody that doesn't have it, and there's a process where they would be, they could get a probationary status and they have 6 months to enroll in a program and then gain their certification within so much time. So it's a desired thing, but it's not it will not have to be required. We good with that area?
I think it reflects the survey really well.
Yeah, good. Personal, embodies the highest degree of moral, professional, and ethical behaviors. I would hope everybody that applies is that way. Exceedingly responsive, follows up and follows through. Establishes and demonstrates the value of strong relationships with students, staff, families, and community. Personable, approachable, and excellent listening skills. I wanted to make sure that was in there because that was quite high in the survey. Someone that will listen, and those things all kind of go together in my mind. But strong written and verbal communication skills. Anything add, delete? And finally, our last section on management and decision making. I put this in here almost again, I guess. Demonstrates exceptional public relations and communication skills, just because it was brought up so often that even though it's impersonal, I thought it should be there as well. Highly visible and accessible to staff, parents, and community members. Recognizes, values, and affirms all staff members. Able to develop and lead effective executive and administrative teams. Experience in managing finances in an educational setting. Sometimes you get someone that they've done finances, but as you all know, educational finances is very different. Public education finance is very different than in a private firm or something like that. Collaborative leadership style fosters a culture of transparency, accessibility, and responsiveness in communication systems. So that's the draft, and is there anything that, in any area that you would like me to add, delete, change up? And again, this will help people to, when they apply, we'll add it to the posting, and they will, sometimes people will say, you know what, I have some experience in a certain area in here, and they may want to highlight that in their cover letter, that sort of thing. So it also helps kind of guide you when you are looking at, between this and the survey results, when you're looking at who you want to interview, and in the final interviews, people that have some of these qualities in their paperwork may come to light, and you may want to put those into your list of people to interview. So that's kind of what I will use when I go through and say, okay, we have, I don't know, 18 people applied. I see these 8 is kind of fitting the criteria, and so I'll put them in one tier, and the rest are still there. You will see all of them. You don't have to pay any attention to that right now. You get to see them all. You choose who you're going to interview. But I'm just going to try to help you a little bit with people that meet what you're looking for. Make sense? Okay, this will be on there tomorrow then. And I will email it to you, Crystal, so you have it. So our next steps, the next time you'll see me is April 14th, I believe is the date. And I don't know if that's a regular board meeting. So you may want to make certain that that is gets posted. So that is the day that we will select, who you are going to interview. And so from here on out, the application is open until April 8th for anyone to apply. And 4 o'clock on April 8th, I will have the office will shut it down and collect all the information. They make some nice packages for me, and they will randomly assign numbers to them, and I'll have a nice email for you with an explanation of how to see those. And so probably, that's the 8th will be, I believe, is a Tuesday. Friday, the 11th, you will get an email from me or from someone at the MASB office with my email and instructions on how to look at all the information. It will come across electronically. And so I will send that to you and a copy to Crystal as well. And I'm going to ask you to make sure you keep all those names confidential throughout the weekend. And until we keep it confidential until whoever you select to interview has accepted the interview. So please do not, make sure that you do not over the weekend even don't just go with the information that you have there. If you see someone in there and you say, I've heard this about this person, contact me and I'll check it out. That's the way we do it in this process. So then on Monday, I'll come here on April 14th, Monday evening, and you will select who you want to interview. Again, it'll be, we normally like to get about 6 is a good number. When we do 3 each night. And until, again, they'll all be anonymous. We'll discuss it in open session. It'll be anonymous who they are. You'll just talk about my number. I'll probably ask you to come in on Monday night with your top 6 candidates. And I'll go one by one, ask you your top 6 by number. And you'll probably be surprised at how many are exactly the same. If that's great, if that, you know, once in a while, usually there's a couple we may have to talk about, but if we get consensus at that point, then that makes things a lot easier. Makes the night a little shorter, but that's okay. We'll do what we have to do. The other thing that we'll do that night is select the questions for the first round interviews. And again, the interviews will be 50 minutes long. 50 minutes long, usually about 15 questions. They get about 3 minutes per question. And so I'll come with a draft of possible questions you can use. I'll probably throw in some extras, and we have many questions that generally are used in a superintendent interview. So again, you get the final say on what they are, but I will come with a draft and just, if we just come and start writing on our own, we would be here. We would be here for days. So I will do that for you. And one last thing that I want you to think about between now and that meeting, and that is, we have been, MASB, in my last 3 searches, we have been 24 hours in advance, we give the candidates who are going to be interviewed the questions. And it's really worked out well. They kind of know what questions they should have, but we let them know, you're going to get 50 minutes. We're not going to vary from these questions. You get 50 minutes. So it's, a lot of things come out that way. I'm going to tell you the pros of it. Some people don't like it, you know, I look at it as, we're not here to try to make people stumble. We want to know as much as we can about these people. And what we've found, it's interesting when they have the questions, they only give them 24 hours notice. When they have the questions, there are some people that, when they get them, they still don't prepare, and they don't get through all the questions when you're doing the interview, because we're gonna have 50 minutes, and that's basically it. And so it shows a lot about their time management, their planning. Other people will write things out exactly, and that can tell you something as well. So you learn a lot that way. The other thing about it is, there's a good chance that whoever is on the second night will know the questions, because sometimes there are people in the audience that are here listening to the questions, or sometimes when they're televised, which I don't believe we're putting on ours, I don't know if you've decided that or not, to have them live, then you know, they hear them one way or two. So I can tell you that there are people, there are candidates that know that your meetings are recorded and they watch your meetings. So it's kind of interesting, because always keep in mind, the candidates, you're not only interviewing the candidates, they are interviewing you as well. So keep that in mind. You know, I've had some conversations like, well, I've watched a couple of meetings, and so it's you know, try to talk to them about what they've seen and that sort of thing. So anyway, kind of rambling. That's what I have for you tonight, but think about whether you want them to have the questions in advance or not. So we'll talk about that when I come back. I will go with whatever time that you would normally, what you would like to do. I would suggest your normal time is 6:30 start. Does that work? And I would think we could get the whole process done in an hour and a half, maybe. It should be fine. Anything else?
I know you said up till now we just had the general posting. Can you share if we've had any applicants put their information?
Yeah, we've had, there are applicants so far. I think there's been 8 or 9 that have applied so at this point. Generally, they start coming out after the selection criteria comes out, and Usually in that last 2-week window is when people have been doing their homework a little bit. They have to submit 3 letters of reference. And so that's what the early time period is, where they get people to do that for them, and they have to be careful about it. Sometimes if they're a sitting superintendent, they want to be careful about who they ask to do that, because you don't always want the district that you're currently in to know that you may be a candidate, because then if you don't get the position, that can make things rocky going back to your school. Yeah. So I'm sure I know there's 8 or 9, I don't remember the exact. And I've had a few calls on it as well. And I put out some feelers to some others, sent some emails out, and I'll start making more calls once we get this up, and we'll go from there. So,
Thank you.
you are welcome.
Okay. So, letter C, board president, we do have a letter that I'm just going to read. They gave it to me tonight, and then he'll discuss it the next time with the finance committee to make recommendations. So it's from CC Risa. It says, Dear Superintendent Petrillia, please accept this letter as official notice of Clinton County Risa's intent to terminate the business services agreement with Ovid-Elsie area schools effective June 30th, 2025, which we already knew. As we've discussed multiple times over the past few months, staffing changes at Clinton County RISA will not allow us to continue providing full business services and have necessitated the termination of this contract. Clinton County RISA will continue to provide business services in accordance with the agreement through June 30th, 2025. We understand it is your intention to continue accounts payables and payroll processing services through Clinton County RISA beyond June 30th, 2025, and we intend to negotiate the continuation of these services in the future. Clinton County RISA is open to evaluating any business services needed in conjunction with current staffing to provide support to Ovid-Elsie area schools. So that'll be something the Finance Committee discusses the next time.
Yes, I will. I talked to Brooke, and I'll set a meeting with the Finance Committee, and we'll get a time to discuss that. And even with the payroll and accounts payable, how much proportion do you want CC Risa to do, and what proportion Ovid-Elsie would do? Because it's the back end of both of those things. So we'll set a meeting, and we'll get that set.
All right, so February 24th, I went to the shared leadership, and by the way, I cannot attend on Monday, which is March 24th, if anyone else is able to attend. It's at 3:20 at the, student lounge, the student lounge. So if anyone wants to go this month, it's a really great meeting to listen in on. 3:20, and they're very good about just lasting an hour. But at this last meeting, they talked a lot about the agri-science CTE classes. Mrs. Hoffman did a really good job of explaining the current course sequence, but then her proposed sequence, where she's just changing the length and the title. It's based on some funding shifts, but it will still allow them to get the MSU credits, get the activities they need for FFA state degrees, community hours. It's a pretty fascinating program, but she's just trying to make some adjustments based on funding. They are still looking at the curriculum, freshman seminar, the cost for Dale Carnegie. They are looking at the option of using an OE teacher to kind of be able to teach some of that curriculum and save money instead of doing a yearly tuition with Dale Carnegie. So they're just kind of looking at all options. How do we get this to the students? How does this fit in? But if an OE teacher was someone who did it, they would be able to do some virtual training. It would take 2 to 4 months, and they would be able to be a certified Dale Carnegie teacher and teach some of those courses for our students. although Dale Carnegie does not offer the college credits any longer for our students. Let's see, they talked a lot about data review for each building. So like the high school is using their SAT data and reflecting on the curriculum where there might be holes, things they can focus on for PD. The middle school, we're continuing to add evidence-based reading strategies in all content areas. E-Night was targeting areas that they haven't been seeing as much improvement. So like with math, they talked about using more Khan. And ELA, they're using the close reading and summarizing. At Leonard, they're seeing good core trends. They have small groups every day. And then they're working with RISA to help build a new report to see what they can do to make improvements. And then I know tonight it's on here that Mrs. Parsons mentioned the Young Fives program. And then as a whole group, it was again, it's just one of those experiences you have to go, you have to listen to all these people from different parts of the education world, and young kids to old kids, and they were brainstorming what they can do to come up with solutions. And so they're really looking at the struggles that they're having in their building, but how they can do that. And the number one, and this is what they're going to look at on Monday. The number one was thinking about a behavior room and having support so that they have clear, consistent policies for behaviors and incidents happening in the school. And the second one that they wanted to focus on was a retention bonus, exit interviews, and building camaraderie. So they're just looking at the things that they feel like are the biggest struggles and what can they do as a team to make a change, not just talk about it, what can they do, what can they bring to us to continue with that. So that was from shared leadership. And then Wayne and I talked, because it was brought up, to talk about board background packets again. So when we talked about it originally, because people had brought up wanting to make the entirety of what we get as a board available to the public. So originally we talked about that, and when Wayne and I talked about it, that's how we came to changing the agenda so that it was very descriptive. So someone in the community, we're trying to promote transparency. So if you want to come to a meeting, you know what's on the agenda, you know who or what we're talking about. So if it's something that you're concerned about, you know that this is your opportunity to come and hear the facts and also speak out on that. So for us, when we talked about it, and for me, I felt that was a really good way to create transparency, but there was still interest in throwing more information out there. We did look at the policy that we have, 0168.1, and it was about how people can see the minutes right after, like there's like 8 days after our meeting. They can go and they can review those, so that's required by us. So we were kind of looking at that as, again, another solution where if someone wants to come, and this is my proposal, I'm only one person on the board, but I still like the idea of using the detailed agenda, but not really seeing all of the things. But if someone wanted to finish a meeting and things get approved, they would have up to, we said, Wednesday of the meeting. They could start as of Wednesday, so for our meetings on Monday, as of Wednesday they can go and they can ask for whatever documents that were approved at our board meeting and get those. So they wouldn't have them ahead of time, they would have them after. I think we shouldn't be just throwing all the things out there before we even talked about it as a board, before we're putting names and contracts and amounts and vendors, and if we don't approve it as a board, it's already been out there for the community, we haven't even discussed it. That's just my feeling on it, but we're open to talk about it.
So I have here, this is just Owasso Public Schools, I printed it off. This is their whole 78-page, and it goes through all sorts of things for the public to see. I think that it holds us accountable, that, when things are public, it holds us accountable also. So I don't know if anybody wants to look through this, but any kind of bids or anything, that would be, the public should be able to know if we're getting an internet bid, who the 3 people that bid, and what those bids are. So, I don't know if we can take it.
I looked at a few schools this afternoon, Ovid-Elsie and East Lansing. I think I got some feedback. You're not turning your light, if your mic's not, if you're not using your mic much, actually. At any rate, they had presented to the board, so the community could see this ahead of time. And if it was being presented, there shouldn't be any thing that would compromise anybody's name, security. And I think came out of the bills, I think that in our budget, that's already on our transparency page. So I think that would be very, that should be open too.
Anyone else have any thoughts on it?
I do agree with, trying to share some supporting documentation to some of these agenda items. And I don't know if it would save time in FOIA requests, if we're still getting FOIA requests. But it seemed like for a while, the FOIA requests were the supporting documentation that was being talked about. So maybe that could save staff time. I don't have a feel for that one way or the other. Wayne would have to tell us with that. But in addition, I know that some schools use we use Board Binder, but there's another board document software where there's a public view on the website, and then there's the board view, and only board members can log in. So it's not creating, once the stuff is uploaded, it's not creating additional work to post it in a different spot. The community and the board are sharing the same software. It's just the permissions are different on who can view what. Where Randy Martin Mason uses that. And it's a really nice software system. So maybe further down the road, I think we've taken some great steps already, but maybe, we can look at some of the software and use the technology so it's not creating more work.
And less paper.
And less paper.
If we are printing these off for people when they walk in, they can do that at home.
Or they could sit with their own tablet, or an electronic device and be able to view it as we go through it as well.
Do you think we could add that the next time we look at other software that does that for permission? I like that idea, where it's not extra personal work for some of the materials, not all, but sorry, being able to control it in a better way. Okay. All right, letter D, transportation department.
We just want to give you a couple updates. We talked about having the new routing system through Tyler Technology. Our phase 1 is complete, and what that means is we've gotten the training on the software. We have all of our routes are uploaded, all the students are in. From preschool through 12th grade, we've got a little over 900 students total. Phase 2 will be the tablets, and we're kind of looking at maybe next fall. And those will be for mapping, for service request, maintenance, for the GPS. What we do now is, when we have a sub-driver, we hand them a route sheet and it's paper. And now that I sub, I understand a little more what that's like. Like, it's just, that's paper. So I tuck it under my leg and then you pull it out at each stop and read it. So it'd be really nice to have the GPS that's talking to you. And it won't be, you don't have to worry about any kind of distraction. And then the other thing with that is it goes hand in hand with the Power School. So it pulls absences. And if there's an absence, it takes it out that route. And then it kind of reads really quick, just saving a lot of time. And then any health issues that the kids have, would transfer over, address changes, so that stuff's pretty cool. And then the other thing, drivers, we have 19 routes. We absorbed 2 routes because of driver shortage over the last couple of years. I'd say when we came back from COVID. And Billy and I talk a lot, our goal is to bring those 2 back because we have several buses that are just, like, a bus can take 72, 71.
That's little guys.
Little ones, yeah, and we've got a couple buses that are at like 65. So we'd like to bring those 2 back, and I keep getting really close. And then the university, like, not yet. So we have 2 regular routes that don't have full-time drivers right now. One of them will be returning, and then the other one is posted internally, but we don't have any subs that are looking for a full-time route yet. So that will go externally. But we're very fortunate. We haven't missed a beat with those 2. They're kind of back to back, weren't they? So we have subs that are in place. The team is fantastic. A couple of the subs, the one lady drives in the morning, goes to the courthouse, works a full day, and comes back and drives in the afternoon. Doesn't miss a beat. You won't hear her. I mean, she's just fantastic. So always open to suggestions. I'm getting more drivers. We try to brainstorm. One thing, quite a few students have volunteered their parents. So I thought about maybe sending out a thrill share and just saying, hey, if anybody wants to drive. The other thing I need to do, what I found, like just kind of playing around and brainstorming, is our district is really up there as far as wages. And then also the way that we train them, in the district pays for like 95% of training. And it's just amazing. And the last driver I got, when I told him that, I mean, he was just all in. So that is, like, I'm very appreciative of that. The other thing I thought about too was doing like the colorful flyers and maybe, you know, taking them to LCC or Baker College, or like, you just don't know. I don't know. But anything that you guys can think of. And then the third thing, they have a PBIS, the positive behavior workshop for bus drivers, for busing at Clinton County Reset. And I'm very happy to report we had the biggest group there. There were 10 bus drivers there. Took away quite a few ideas. One thing we implemented is Rider of the Month, and that's been really neat. So they get a certificate, and then they get PBIS tickets to put in their drawings at the school. So that's been neat. So we took that, we took some ideas away, and then I asked the director of transportation, I took away a really, really big appreciation for our administrators, for the Board of Education, for my team of drivers. There's a lot of grumbling throughout the room, just grumbling, but there was nothing at our table. I mean, we had so many positive things to share. We're way ahead of things with our PBIS, which is neat too. So that was a really good one. That's all I have. Yeah, any questions on anything? No?
I'd just like to thank the board for approving the 2 buses for this next school year, They were ordered right after that, and delivery is set for like September, October. We have been working on Langsburg actually contracts is pushing buses through, even that doing pretty good with it. So, yeah, that's all I got for you guys. Questions? Thank you.
Okay, Item E, Special Education Director.
So I'm handing out what the student profile from CC said. I think Scott actually mentioned it in his presentation today. And so it just has a little bit of information about our district specifically and our special education numbers and percentages. So I'm just going to go through it really quickly. So the first one, it talks about our enrollment, and I think somebody else already said our enrollment's going down. We know that. But if you look at the graph that says students with an IEP, that's going up. So we're at almost 17% of our population are students that have an IEP. That's 210 IEPs, and this data is from the fall. So I guarantee we have more qualified since then, but I do not have the current data. The spring data comes out shortly. So I think that's interesting to see that it's almost a steady increase. Out of our 210 IEPs, 80% of those students are in our general ed population. We're keeping them in front of the curriculum and making sure that they're getting the needs met so that they can progress in their education. It does show you the distribution of eligibility, just the different ways to qualify and the percentages of each of those disabilities. Some positive, we are above the county rate for our graduation of students with IEPs, and we're also below the dropout rate for the county average, so that's two positives for us. We currently have 13 special education teachers and 13 parapros in our district. That does not count the special education, that does not count our academic para or any of our 5-hour employees that also help out with our students. I do think one of the biggest barriers is the level of support that our students need. That's increasing, and not only the support that the students need, but the support that the staff needs as well during the day. I want you guys to keep in mind it's not the number, like yes, we give you a number of how many kiddos have IEPs, but it's more about the level of support and the amount of support needed to ensure growth. And then I do think, as we mentioned Mark mentioned about understanding more special education law, I think that's a barrier, not only to our staff, but also the community. And like Carla mentioned, we are doing some trainings, not we, Ovid-Elsie, but CC Risa is doing some really amazing trainings on behavior and some of those things. And I think some of the goal would be to make sure that staff and the community understand not only the special education law, but the eligibilities and the available services that we provide.
Any questions? Yeah. How many PBIS staff do you have at your building?
PBIS staff. We have a PBIS coordinator for the district.
Oh, coordinator, just one coordinator.
And then we have a team member, like each building, we have a PBIS team that meets after school. So we have like the committee at Leonard, there's one at 89, one at the middle school, high school. But there's one PBIS coordinator for the whole district. Yeah. Thank you.
Michelle, you can stay right there.
I was just going to sit right here.
I'm going to do the Young Fives program first.
I'm going to do the Young Fives program first. Rochelle has given me this document that each of the board members have. And at this time, Leonard Elementary would like to propose the implementation of a Young Fives program. And we're just giving this to you for information, okay? We're not saying this is going to be the program for next year. But we would bring it back to the board in April, our April board meeting, for the board to act on this program. And we're going to have Rochelle talk about the Young Fives program. There are 5 areas here on this document. Also in regards to our kindergarten enrollment. Our kindergarten enrollment does not at this time look like it's going up, but we'll let Rochelle talk about that too. So you're on.
Okay, sorry, I know it's been a long meeting, so I'll try to get through the information. I just want to give you a little bit of background of where this came from. So a while back, Ovid-Elsie had like a 2-year kindergarten program. That's like what they promoted, 2 years of kindergarten. And then we went to opening up a pre-first. And so instead of doing 2 years of kindergarten, those kiddos that weren't quite ready for first grade would go from kindergarten to pre-first and then on to first grade. So over the last few years, we've had a lot of parents opt out of the pre-first. It kind of got a stigma. They wanted to push their kids on, but our data supported that the pre-first kiddos were stronger in first grade than some of the other struggling kiddos moving forward. So we kind of reached out, we were brainstorming, and we reached out to CC Risa and figured out we are the only school, I believe the only school in our county, Clinton County, that doesn't have a Young Fives program. And last year alone, Leonard had 14 waiver kids. So we had 14 parents sign their kids up. Kids were not age ready to come to kindergarten, but you can sign a waiver from September to December. And so a lot of those kids hadn't had preschool, and so we started thinking if our pre-first program isn't that sought out anymore, and people are turning us down on that, would it be easier to catch them on the other end, the early intervention end? And because we are only school, I believe, in the county that doesn't have a Young Fives, it was something that we started to look into. We have a team at Leonard that has been going to different buildings and looking at different districts' programming, their curriculum, their report cards, expectations, and things like that. So we aren't proposing a new classroom. We're looking at taking the current incoming kindergarten, and if numbers stay the same, right now I have 4 kindergarten, and our numbers right now are at 70. We usually get more than that later, but right now we're at 70, is to just transform one of our kindergarten classrooms into a Young Fives classroom. What we would be looking for are the waiver kids. We'd be targeting the kids that have the birthdays September through December. We also consider summer birthdays, because sometimes those younger kids just aren't ready, and that doesn't mean all of them, it's just some of the students. And we would also consider like the social emotional needs. So one of our plans, if this all goes through, is at our kindergarten visitation, when the parents bring their kids in. We got some really good ideas from DeWitt and Bath about how they screen the kids with some just, some of the basic kindergarten readiness skills. And then after that, they kind of group them into where those kids might land as far as needing a lot of support or being ready. So the idea would be that it would be a smaller class size. Right now signed up, I have 6 waiver kids and 14 summer birthdays. So there is a possibility of moving forward with it if that's something that the district wants to do. Again, the idea would be to keep that classroom a little bit smaller numbers. We're sitting at about 24 right now in our kindergarten, so it'd be nicer to have that Young Fives class a little bit smaller. Yeah, and that's really what we've been doing, a lot of research around it. If you have any questions or want to talk later, I've got all the data. Anything right now though?
Would you be keeping the pre-first?
Oh, yes, I'm glad you asked that, thank you. So originally, the first year we would do both, because we would not want to miss the kids that were eligible for the pre-first room that we didn't catch because we didn't have Young Fives. So the first year, let's say we did it next year, we'd keep that pre-first and have a Young Fives, and then the following year we would probably wean the pre-first out and just try to catch them in the Young Fives.
Would you have like a certain criteria that you're writing down just besides birthdays? Like, I mean, that you would be filling out on, I don't know,
Like a
everybody?
parent or?
Like the selection criteria of the students, like, just because your birthday's in June doesn't definitely mean that you would not be ready. So,
Yeah, it would be the kindergarten readiness skills. So I have a whole list I can forward to you of skills that we ask parents to have their kids know prior to coming into kindergarten. We would also consider things like never being in school before. Like if they've never been in preschool, then They probably haven't learned some of that carpet time and standing in line and waiting your turn and things like that. That actually, Wayne and I talked about, that would be, if we move forward with this program, we would want some like a little bit more stricter criteria. And then I would also look to the board to decide if it would be like a suggestion for the waiver kids, or if you would mandate the waiver kids go into that program. I've seen both in Clinton County, where parents have a choice, and then I've seen where if you sign a waiver, you go into the Young Fives program, is just part of the policy.
Right, and how would we handle it if we had a bunch of kids be selected and then parents are requesting it? And then if it doesn't meet that criteria to begin with, do you understand what I'm saying?
Let me review. So if you have a parent that wanted their kid in the classroom, but we didn't have room, is that what you're asking?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we asked a lot of the schools these same questions, and there's no one right answer, and we can, it'd be something that our committee or our school district would have to kind of go with. It would be this criteria first, and then if there were any openings, we would consider the other, like a parent request, and then looking at the readiness skills, they have to make a selection.
Would we be sharing with the parents the short-term and long-term benefits, pros and cons to the program?
Absolutely. Our plan was, if, again, and this is just if we do it, we will have a presentation for parents about the benefits of it. And we're also working with the preschool, because something new for next year is preschool can go 5 days a week now. So that might catch some of those young kiddos that wanted to do a 5-day-a-week program and they came to kindergarten even though they might not have been ready. They'll be able to do preschool. So it's kind of a lot of different opportunity and options for next year. And again, some of the things we don't have laid out because it's brand new, and we've just been asking like different districts how they do it.
So I have a question. So you bring up preschool. When I read the document, how would it align with Great Start? What are the ages for Great Start?
I think
My kids have been out of school
I'm
for a
not a
little
Great
bit.
Start person, but I think there's some 3-year-olds that can go into Great Start, and then 4. I think I had one of my cousins start it. But anyway, 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds.
And
I know there are cutoffs, but I don't know the dates, like when they can and can't do another year.
So would this run in tandem with Great Start, or I hate to use the word competition?
Yep. So I actually had a conversation with the director of Great Start, because when they heard that we were exploring this option, she was like, but you're gonna take our kids. And I'm like, that is not the point. The point is to catch those kiddos. And again, this year I had 14 kids that could have stayed in preschool that chose to come to kindergarten and would have been great candidates for a Young Fives. So we're not trying to take the preschool kiddos. We'd actually rather them do another year of preschool if that's what the preschool's recommending, but this gives us an opportunity if they can't qualify for that preschool, and again, I don't know the cutoff date for preschool, and can then, but they're still young and their parents have to sign the waiver for kindergarten.
Okay. Would it be half day or full day?
Full day. So
Full
it would
day.
be considered, in our district, it would be considered a kindergarten classroom, just like our pre-first classroom was considered kindergarten, even though it was pre-first.
Because Great Start's half day, correct?
Nope, full day.
It is full day,
Yeah.
okay.
Or GSRP is. Great Start at the center may be half.
Right. It is half day?
And they're also expanding some of the,
So more kids will qualify for GSR.
Well, I think that we're talking about 2 different things. So
I'm talking about GSR.
GSRP that's housed in our building, or in our buildings, E9 and Leonard, they are going 5 days a week in their full day next year. They're full day this year, but they're only 4 days a week.
Yeah.
But next year they have more slots, and they have the ability to go 5 days.
I feel like sometimes, and I was a working mom when my kids were little, but I feel like that push to get into a full day program is because childcare is such a pain
Absolutely.
for everyone. It's non-existent in this area, right?
Yep.
And it's a struggle to find wraparound care for a half-day program. So, I mean, if we want to attract young families to the district, I think having, that Great Start, we have to use their term, but that those programs that support working families is really important. Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you.
thanks, Rochelle. And this to your attention because we need to do more information, gather more information on it. And if it does seem to be feasible, we will bring it to the board. We just don't want to bring it at one time with a decision. The other part of my presentation or my report, I'm going to keep moving, okay, because the time is getting there. And this thing is, I'll just talk louder, all right? Is this document, Educational Policy Guide? This is put together by the 4 ISDs in this central Michigan. And this is updated every couple years. This is the latest version right here. It was put together in January of 2025. And if you look, if you turn and open the document itself, we're in Region 6. And Region 6 is, you can see kind of right in the middle of the map there. It's Eaton, Ingham, Clinton, Shiawassee. Did I forget any? I think that's it, okay? And what it does is for our state legislators, and it's in the area of state assessment, early childhood, career and tech education, special education, and so forth, okay? And in the county itself and in this region, each of us try to specialize in each of one of the areas, okay? And you can read through the document, and if you do have any questions, feel free to give me a call. But it's a way that we stay connected with our state legislators. And because they'll give us a call or they need information on education, what do you think of this bill? And this bill happens to be in mathematics instructional support. And we will send them to a person that really follows and concentrates in that area, and also financial areas. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. If you do have any questions on it, feel free to let me know and I can talk a little bit more about it. All right, old business, now new business.
All right, letter A. This is about our work session. We didn't have the contract in place before this meeting. We knew that it was going to come up here, so this is for our contract with Steve Seward Consulting for our 2 work sessions. One we had March 10th, and then we'll have one on April 8th. The contract was in live binders, so I would entertain a motion.
I move the Board of Education to approve the contract with Steve Seward Consulting, 2 in-person, 2.5-hour sessions at $1,000 each for a total of $2,000.
Support.
Okay, motion by Becky Williams, support by Mary Thompson, to approve the contract with Steve Seward Consulting, 2 in-person, 2.5-hour sessions at $1,000 each for a total of $2,000. Any discussion? Okay, roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes, motion approved. Letter B, personnel contracts.
I would just like to make a comment. We have our curriculum instructional director. It's going to start for Ovid-Elsie area schools. Sam is sitting in the front row patiently over the last hour and a half. And you see there are really 2 contracts for him. One is to finish out this school year, okay? His normal contract is also attached, and that's a 3-year contract. So the first contract is for 60 days to finish out the school year, and then the second contract is for 3 years, and his normal is 210 days. And that mirrors what we had previously.
So I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I make a motion, the Board of Education extends a contract to Samuel Cecilia, is that right? Okay. as the Director of Curriculum and Instruction effective March 24, 2025 through June 30th, 2025.
Support.
Okay, motion by Sue Cadillac, support by Mary Thompson for the contract for the remainder of the 24-25 school year. Discussion? Okay, roll call vote. Josh?
Yes.
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 Yes, motion passes.
I make a motion the Board of Education extends a 3-year contract, 2025 through 2028, to Samuel Cecilia as the Director of Curriculum and Instruction under the Board-approved administrative salary formula effective July 1st, 2025.
Support.
Motion by Sue Cadillac, support by Becky Williams to extend a 3-year contract to Samuel Cecilia as the Director of Curriculum and Instruction under the Board-approved administrative salary formula effective July 1st, 2025. Any discussion? Okay, roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, boys, for being patient. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, he shared before that they were worried we were going to say no, but you guys have been such good readers in the front and smiley. Thank you
So
for
luck
being
of
so
the
patient. And welcome.
Yeah.
All right, the next is a contract for a paraprofessional for a one-on-one at EE Knight Elementary.
I move the Board of Education extend a contract to Corey Strakota as paraprofessional at EE Knight Elementary effective of March 11th, 2025.
Support.
Okay, motion by Becky Lamb, support by Sue Cadillac, to extend a contract to Corey Strakota as paraprofessional at EE Knight Elementary effective March 11th, 2025. Any discussion?
Yes.
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 Yes, motion passes. All right, letter C, employee retirements. Do you want to elaborate?
Well, we have 2 retirements, and Kevin is from our middle school, and the other retirement is from our Spanish class in the high school. And I would say I hired Ruben in my first life here, and, but they're very dedicated employees, and they said it's time to retire.
I'll entertain a motion.
I move the Board of Education accept the retirement of Kevin Stedman as a middle school counselor with regret effective the end of the 2024-25 school year.
Motion by Becky Williams, support by Kevin Nash, to accept the retirement of Kevin Stedman as middle school counselor with regret, effective at the end of the 2024-25 school year. Any discussion? Okay. Roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes, motion passes. I need a motion.
I move the Board of Education accept the retirement of Ruben Nadorse as high school teacher with regret effective end of the 2024-2025 school year.
Support.
Thank you, Becky, for making a motion to accept the retirement of Ruben Adarce as high school teacher with regret, effective end of the 2024-25 school year. Discussion? Okay, roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes, motion passes. Letter D, new paraprofessional position.
I also included some background information on that to employ a part-time parapro position. We're saying up to 5 hours at this time, and so as soon as the board approves that, we'll post it, and then we have to go through the association for so many days. But that's a very needed position in our alternative education program.
I move the Board of Education to approve an additional part-time 5 hours per day paraprofessional position at the alternative high school.
All right, motion by Becky Williams, support by Kevin Nash, to approve an additional part-time 5 hours per day paraprofessional position at Alternative High School. Any discussion?
Wayne, can you tell us how many kids are in alternative high school right now?
Yeah, very close to about 30.6.
Okay. And how many teachers?
We have 1 certified teacher, and we have 3 paraprofessionals, and of that 3, the 1 will be part-time.
Do you think we'll fill the full-time teacher position before the end of the year?
Surely hope so, but doubtful, because we've had that posted since the beginning of the school year.
Okay, so is 25 hours enough?
At this time it is, okay? That's what was requested of me. I could have had the motion part-time and let us determine, but at this time, the individual that we have in there part-time says 5 hours seems to be about right. So I think 5 hours would be fine.
Any other questions? Okay, roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion passes. And then we had made the adjustment to have the additional public participation. Lois Hatter still here?
I am still here. I came prepared to speak on the importance of the water aerobic program. But since we've already received a yes, that it will continue, I just wanted to say thank you because it's very important for myself and all the other participants. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming. And now let it be closed session. Entertain a motion.
I move the board convene into closed session in accordance with the Michigan Open Meetings Act, Section 8, to consider attorney-client privilege communication.
Motion by Becky Williams, support by Lady Thompson. Any discussion? Yeah, roll call. How are you? Good. Thanks so much. Go over this one. Dave, we'll just get up.
I'll be there. I've got a Danish one here. I'm gonna take a look. He's got 2 custodians shout about it. Paul Kiesler and Shaker.
All right, well, take care. Thank
How's your knee?
Are you going?
Yeah, I'm riding with her. Everybody said, I can't put it on. Yeah, that's voucher for my mileage here. Yeah, they had,
what we're gonna do. Good job, Lois.
Hey, you guys need to have Cindy, who she's come a couple times. Push her into being an instructor. I think she already has her CPR. Cindy Doyle. She's from Langsburg. She's a bus driver in Langsburg. So she's come to 2 or 3 classes. Really? And she's young. She's so she's able to, get in there. She doesn't.
One of the things I was going to say is that we would love the members to come.
I bet. I used to go. Oh, I lived in Manhattan when I was pregnant. My last pregnancy. And it was a
Jared said they can't keep up with her. How bad are you going?
We have a great group right here. Great group, don't we? We have a great group.